Live from Sin City, it's the Sox and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Diet Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Sox and Pinstripes Podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe. Shane's with us today. How are we doing, Shane?
I'm doing great, Griffin. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Do you have a nickname, Shane?
Not really. I've had several people call me, most of the time my nickname is Shane.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
For a little bit at a Mexican restaurant, I was called El Stain, but
Do we want to go into the backstory behind that, or?
probably not. We'll just leave it there. So
Okay. Well, the reason I mentioned that is because Shohei Ohtani might have a new nickname of Goju Goju.
Oh, okay. What does
And-
Goju mean?
Means 50-50.
Oh,
Goju Goju. I just literally looked it up a second ago, and now I can't even remember if I was pronouncing it right. But anyway, 50-50. Shohei is now the first player ever to have a 50-50 season, as in 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. And he's actually exceeded that. But we'll just say 50-50 for now.
yeah.
Pretty incredible. And the game that he did it in, he had 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases in the game, had 10 RBIs, 4 runs, and had he not gotten caught trying to go for a triple, he would have hit for the cycle.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It was just barely. I mean, kudos to the outfielder for throwing him out. So thank you for trying, because honestly, I went back and looked at the game, and his 50th home run was a 68. It looked like he was throwing batting practice to
Well,
him. I was like, "Come on, man."
the home runs, one of the home runs in the game was off of a position player, but I'm pretty sure that was the 3rd home run of the game. So
I thought it was the 50th, but I guess I got them confused. So
I mean, it's possible maybe somebody was throwing like an off-speed pitch or something, but I know the last home run was off of a position player.
okay, it was the position player then, 68 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. But the first 2 are definitely legit.
Yeah, the first 2 were legit. Yeah.
And man, this is one of the great seasons that we're ever going to see out of a player.
It's pretty crazy. And I was listening to the broadcast, and they literally Shohei Ohtani like stripped out of everything he was wearing, and had the authenticating everything after he hit the 50th home run. And
but one thing they're not they don't have is the ball.
Oh, really? Yeah, someone's gonna hold on. I mean, that's like whatever fan has that is going to be worth quite a bit of money.
What I've heard is that the Dodgers have offered $300,000 for the ball, and it has been declined.
Yep. If it were me and I was holding on to it and not throwing it back, I'd hold out for at least over $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the resale value. But anyway, the announcer was like, and now Shohei Ohtani is naked on national television.
Of course, in Miami, of all places, it just makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that irritated me about it, and it was he was like, and this is like a day for the authenticator as well. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it is not a day for the authenticator. He is just doing his job on a day that history was made. Do not make this about some average dude who I wish I was. I'm not saying I'm not saying I don't wish I was that guy. But don't make it about him. It's not about him. It's about Shohei Ohtani and baseball. So.
Yeah, and man, this is a crazy season. But honestly, like you go back to some of the old historical seasons, there have been some real zany seasons. Ted Williams in 1941. Okay, like that guy had a 406 batting average, and which is higher than Ohtani's on base percentage.
Also, he was playing against plumbers and electricians, basically. But,
Well, I mean, he didn't even win the MVP that year because Joe DiMaggio hit 56 games in a row in that year, and he won the MVP.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice when you're when literally the guy in front of you is going to set the record for most hits in a row, and you just get to sit behind him and just
They
basically
didn't.
hit
They
him in
didn't
every
play on
single
the
time.
same. They didn't play on the same team, dude.
Oh, I thought they did
No, you're
in
thinking
41.
Don, you're thinking Dom DiMaggio.
Oh, yes, I am thinking. Yes,
Joe,
you're right.
Joe DiMaggio played for the
You're right.
Yankees. Ted Williams played for the Red Sox.
You're right. You're right. My bad. My bad.
But anyway, congratulations, Shohei Ohtani. Do you think anybody in today's game has a legitimate shot at doing 50-50 besides Ohtani?
Oh man, I think when you're looking at his stats, it's going to be. I mean, honestly, I don't know because it's always a question of, well, they have the power, but can they steal the bases? Or they have the speed, but do they have the power? I mean, look at Ronald Acuna Jr. last year. It was
Yeah,
like,
he was
well, how
probably
many
the
home
guy I
runs is he
thought
going
of.
to hit? Yeah. So how many home runs is he going to hit? And, whatever.
I
No,
mean,
speaking of which, Ellie De La Cruz just apparently stopped stealing bases after the Midsummer Classic. I mean, he's stolen a couple, but he was on a record-setting pace and just decided that I guess he didn't want the record. So
well, it seems like you steal bases, you get injured. I mean, I
yeah,
think that's why Mike Trout's probably not going to be stealing a whole lot of bases going forward, but he was trying to steal bases earlier this year.
yeah. Well, now he's apparently going to be a DH or a first baseman, is what you were saying. So
I heard DH, but when I heard corner, I didn't realize they meant corner outfielder.
oh yeah, yeah. I guess
That's
you
a
could just stick
that's a
him in.
possibility too.
Yeah, you could just stick him in right field and.
Well, I don't know which outfield position is generally the one where you move around more. I think left field is the one where you probably move around the least.
I thought because you're thinking that I thought
I
like
mean, it depends on
right-handed
the
batters.
ballpark, I guess, but
Yeah, yeah. Thought
I
like
mean,
mostly right-handed batters and pulling it into left field, but yeah, I could be wrong about that.
I would be thinking about in terms of how much I would think in terms of how much running you'd want him to do. And I
Yeah.
think right fields and center fields by and large tend to be larger, but it is one of those ballpark
Oh yeah,
specific
no,
things.
you're right about that. Well, doesn't he also has that crazy back issue too? So I guess DH would probably be where you really want to get most of your money out.
Yeah, I mean they'll figure something out. Trout's a decent human being. He wants to help his team out whatever way he can.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind being on just one of the worst teams too. So keep that guy around.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole situation there. So also this week we had an interesting story. CJ Abrams, the breakout star of the Washington Nationals, got demoted to AAA yesterday morning. And it was a bit of a shocker until we found out that he had broke curfew in Chicago, where he was at a casino until 8 in the morning for a game that had like a 1 o'clock start time.
What time do they report back to the stadium? Like 10?
Well, I'm guessing something like that. I mean, they play
Yeah,
their game
I was like,
super early in Wrigley, so
did he just get like in my mind I'm thinking like CJ Abrams, he's like it's 2 o'clock, and maybe he's on a hot streak or something, and then all of a sudden it's 8. Or maybe it's more like, 5 or 6 in the morning. And he's like, am I just gonna like go for the rest? Am I just gonna like keep
yeah.
going until I show up for work the next day? Like
I think he went 0 for 4 in that game too.
oh, okay. So there you go.
I mean, he had been
Now
kind of struggling in the second half, but I get a feeling that this was strictly a disciplinary move. And
yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is not the first time he's pulled these kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, one would think that you wouldn't do that he's one of the best players on the team, and you wouldn't do that unless you're wanting to send a message like, hey man, you need to, figure out like what you want to do more, like go out and have fun or play the game of baseball. So
Yeah, because they only have like 8 games left in the season, and AAA's season's ending in 2 games. So he's just gonna go down to like the complex and be done for
Yeah,
the year.
I think that, and that's I think mostly to show him too, like, hey, like you're not above, having to be held to the same standards as all the other players on this team, even though we're out of contention. I think it's probably more or less either that, or it's something to with all the gambling stuff that's happened this year. It's something to do with that. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
mean
not.
that's
But
that's another concern. You always get a little nervous with guys, but there was like someone had a photo of him at a roulette table, and Jack Flaherty, I think, commented like, "This is CJ Abrams' story real?" I mean, back when I worked in the casinos like 15 years or so ago, back in the sequin mine days of Las
yeah.
Vegas, I remember seeing former tight end of the NFL, Vernon Davis, at
Oh.
the at the tables. I was
Oh,
I was
were you a table dealer?
I
Or?
was not a table dealer. I worked in the cage, but I did see
Okay.
Vernon Davis come by a few times.
Nice. Did
And
he
I was
ever
work.
cash in his chips with you, or?
He didn't catch just me, but some of the other people there.
Oh, okay.
And this is working graveyard, so this was kind of middle of the night stuff. But I don't think this was during football season.
Oh, that makes
I
sense.
recall.
I feel like football is like even crazier. It has the craziest gambling rules.
They've got some really weird rules, like you
Yeah.
can't gamble on site. You can't gamble from your phone on the complex.
Yeah, but also the complex is like it's like a sovereign nation. It travels with it's like wherever you are at with the team, that
Yeah.
complex. Like it's like being a diplomat or
All right.
uh,
Well, speaking of cursing, have you followed what the White Sox Twitter has been doing?
no, I'm not on the Twitter scape,
So,
but please do tell.
so the White Sox have just gotten so mad that they don't announce what the scores are for the games. They'll say like the result of the game is that you can find it on MLB.com. Or like
Perfect.
the other team scored more runs.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's my favorite. I think the other team scored more runs.
Yeah, and I've been kind of saying this for a little while now. I don't know, I may have said this once or twice in the show before, but man, oh man, the White Sox are having like the biggest playoff impact so far because they're single-handedly the reason that you've got 4 teams in the AL Central, excuse me, trying to have a legit shot at making the playoffs.
Only, I would say, like a large contributing force, but these teams have also been beating other good teams as well. I mean, I guess we'll see
Okay,
in the
well,
playoffs if they go
well,
far. But
listen to some stats I'm going to put your way.
okay, okay.
So the Cleveland Guardians went 8-5 on the season against the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
The Kansas City Royals went 12-1. The Minnesota Twins went 12-1. The White Sox have gone 7-1 with 3 games left to play against the White Sox.
Oh, geez.
When you're looking at teams that, the Kansas City Royals are 9 games above 500,
Yeah.
the Twinkies are 8 games above 500, and the White
Mm-hmm.
Sox are 7 games above 500, and you've got 12 wins, 7 wins against the worst team in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
That kind of makes a bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I mean that would mean that Detroit and Seattle would be in this year if
Exactly.
Yeah.
The White Sox are the reason that you guys are missing the playoffs because the teams in the Central are getting so many cheap wins.
See, I agree with you, but then I also, in our division, we have the Athletics, who, turned out to have a pretty good season this year. But we also have the Angels, and this year we decided to go 5-8 versus them, a losing record against the worst team in our division. And if you're going to be a team that makes the playoffs, I mean, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and that's not beating the teams you're supposed to beat.
The Athletics have won 31 games more than the White Sox.
I mean, still though,
31.
It's your division. You don't get to choose how terrible the team is, but the worst team. I
I
mean, if
know,
you're
but this is such an outlier season. You got the worst team in the last 100 years. I mean,
yeah.
the
If one of the teams from the here, I'll give you this. If one of the teams from the AL Central win the World Series, then they should be sending that trophy to the White Sox. How about
and yeah,
that?
and you know the irony is that the Guardians are the team that actually lost 5 games to the White Sox. So they have lost more games to the White Sox than the Royals, the Twins, and the Tigers combined. And they're the
Perfect.
ones that straight up won the division. Congratulations to them for getting the 90 wins already, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought they were the legit team going into the season in that division, and I was right. I just didn't realize how bad the White Sox would be. It would just prop up these other teams.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, and what New York clinched too, and
Yeah, New York has clinched a playoff spot, well, no, the Astros technically haven't.
yeah, they technically haven't, although we are 5 games back with like what is it now, 8 to play or something like
Yeah,
that.
the Brewers also clinched the NL Central, which was a giant shock to me. I thought these guys were going to be utterly terrible this year.
Oh yeah, NL's all locked in and ready to go.
Well, I mean, kinda. I mean,
Yeah.
the Dodgers and Phillies have clinched spots. They have not technically won their divisions yet,
Okay,
but
yeah,
probably
that's
will
true.
in the next few days. The Orioles
Yeah.
obviously are likely to make it in. They have a 4.5 game lead in the wild card, so they're gonna be there.
I mean,
Padres,
Kansas City is trying. The Twinkies are really trying to let someone else take that final spot these days.
I
So
believe the Twinkies have the wild card tiebreaker over the Tigers.
I think they do. I think they also have it over the Mariners as well. So
Yeah, the Twinkies have a doubleheader today in Boston because they
dude,
got
Carlos
rained out
Correa
yesterday.
just took the whole last half of the year off and then comes back and decides he's going to bat 402. Like he never even missed time playing.
Yeah,
what was that all
and
about?
you know what's
Could have
crazy is
could have used you most of the year there, buddy.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that the Royals have lost 6 games in a row, and they still have the wild card spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they 12-1 against the White Sox. It all comes back to the White
I
Sox.
know,
So.
man. I know. So the National League situation has gotten a little crazy. San Diego's got the lead. Uh,
Yeah.
the Diamondbacks are a game ahead of the Mets, who are 2 games ahead of the Braves.
Hmm.
Who would have thought going in the season that the Mets have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs?
The only thing
Not,
I can think of is my friend Alex's, one of my coworkers, Alex's nephew, is a diehard Mets fan, and every year he believes the Mets are going to make the playoffs. So,
I mean, I don't even think the Mets believed that they had a shot this year. They
yeah.
were telling Max Scherzer at the trade deadline last year, hey, what's the game plan for 2025? And Cohen was like, we're kind of rebuild this year.
Yeah.
And then the irony is that, Scherzer's with the Rangers and they missed the playoffs this year, but now the Mets are probably have a shot at making the playoffs this year. I mean, I'm not going to say it's over because I believe the Mets and the Braves play each other next week
Yeah.
for a 3 game set. So it's,
Well, that should be interesting. So that'll be some good baseball.
yeah, and it's
How's
just,
Edwin? Is Edwin Diaz playing better? Or I haven't
yeah,
checked on him in a while, but
yeah, Edwin Diaz has played well. I picked him up on my fantasy team. I
okay.
don't want to look at that today, but he did have a 4-out save yesterday. So
Okay, good. Yeah, because he was really struggling there at the All-Star break.
I
So,
know the Mets are playing the Phillies tonight on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
ooh, nice. I'll be a
Yeah,
game to watch.
yeah, I'll be watching that game maybe because my opponent in the championship has the starter for the Mets. And I don't know
Ooh,
if everything's going to be cinched up by then or not. I have been on
yeah.
pins and needles. I felt great on Friday night because Garrett Cole went out there and threw 9 innings and just was dominating the old Garrett Cole of the past. And then
Yeah.
yesterday happened, and Ranger Suarez and Jared Jones just sucking, and I have just been stressed out.
I had the best offensive day yesterday ever but I had terrible offense the whole beginning of the week, so wound up not even mattering.
I haven't looked at my team today. I'm going to try to avoid looking at my team for as long as possible.
Yeah. No, I mean I feel for you. That was me last year. Although by this point in time, that was the game that I played you. I think that was my most nervous on that Sunday because I just got really lucky the next week with Jeff. Mike Clevenger wound up throwing a complete game with only one hit. A complete game, one hitter, and the one hit was a home run, which really helped my ERA out. So
Yeah. So, who do you think is going to make the wild cards? Because the divisions are pretty much locked up, or
yeah.
maybe not. Maybe you think a division team is going to lose it at this point. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, the Astros are gonna lose every single game from here until the end of the season, and Seattle's gonna take the West, AL West, baby. Let's go.
Well, I mean, they got to lose. The Mariners are 5 back right now, so
Yeah, they gotta lose a lot of games.
it's
The problem
mathematically
is the Mariners
possible, I guess.
the Mariners have to now win every single game, which is unlikely to happen.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the Tigers are gonna take that final spot from the Twins, and I think everything else is gonna say that. I think you'll see Baltimore, Kansas City, and Detroit in there.
I've got a feeling
Seattle's
it's
gonna make it.
possible. I'm looking at the scores now, and Boston is up 6-1 in game 1 of the doubleheader.
Who are they playing again?
They're playing the Red Sox.
Oh, the Twinkies or the
Twinkies
Tigers?
are playing Twinkies are playing the Red Sox.
Ooh,
And
man,
the Tigers are currently up 2-0 on the Orioles. And of course, I picked up the Orioles starter today because I can't get any moves right this week.
Man, if they could just figure out their pitching and have like solid pitching, they would just blow everyone out of the water. You got to think that Orioles.
Well, the problem is the Orioles have had so many guys get hurt this year.
Yeah, they really are plagued with injuries.
That's been the issue. I mean, Grayson Rodriguez is supposed to be coming back, but he's been injured. They lost John Means for the season. They lost Kyle Bradish for the season.
Oh yeah, that's right, Bradish.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
another couple of guys that, I mean, they haven't had Bautista in the bullpen, which they
Oh
really
yeah,
could
dude,
use
I
because
forgot about that. Yeah, he was
they,
supposed
they
to
really could
have.
use him because they dumped Craig Kimbrell this week.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Kimby.
has been good. Eflin's had some injury issues since they traded for him. He came over, and Trevor Rogers, the other big pitching acquisition that the Baltimore Orioles have had, he just has sucked.
Yeah, final answer: Detroit, KC, and Baltimore. Who do you think, Griffin?
I'm gonna agree with you there. I'm gonna agree with you there. I think the White Sox are gonna work their magic, and the Tigers are gonna somehow make it, even though they gave Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers at the trade deadline.
Yep.
It must be the effect of not having Javi Baez in the lineup every day.
Yeah, Javi swing at everything Baez.
Yeah, Javi's out. So now you've got now you've got your chemistry in line. It's like the Padres just started playing better once they got Luis Ariz and they got rid of Soto.
Yeah,
exactly. Mathematically, that shouldn't make any sense, but
yeah,
it's
just too many. Yeah, when you have too many big personalities all at once, it does actually affect the chemistry of the team. So
yeah,
which is weird because he goes to the Yankees and with Judge and is like, I'm cool. I'm just gonna have a really good season over here. So
what do you think about the National League? Do you think the Mets or Braves get that last spot, or do you think the Diamondbacks choke it away?
Oh, that is a good question.
I don't think the Padres are going to lose their spot with however many games left, and they get to play the White Sox today.
Well, and I got to go with the Padres are were my dark horse a while back to win the World Series. So I'm Friars all the way until the end of October.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the National League stays the same. I don't think the D-backs are going to choke out that you're.
You think the
right
Mets are going
now
to hold on to the spot?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly,
I'm rooting for the Mets too. Grimace all day.
yeah.
Not tonight though. I want the Mets to lose tonight
Yes. Okay.
for
Mets
for
just drop this game
fantasy
for Griffin, and then
reasons, and
yeah,
they're also playing Zach Wheeler, so
yeah,
that's might not be the best chance for a Mets W. But overall,
yeah,
even though I would love to see Chris Sale pitch in October for the Braves,
yeah,
I'm rooting for Grimace and chaos and the Mets
yeah.
being in the playoffs. Plus, I'm supposed to be Francisco Lindor's, lover boy or whatever Jeff thinks about my relationship with that man. I don't know why
Perfect.
he thinks I love Lindor so much,
Yeah.
but I have to root for Lindor.
Yes. Obviously, Lindor and Pete Alonso, two great guys.
So, do you have anything else you want to bring up on the show today?
Oh no, I do not today.
All right. Well, we'll close out this episode a little early. We'll have our formal playoff predictions next week. Hopefully, things will be more settled in, division winners firmly established, seeding, and we'll also probably talk about the awards, which honestly are kind of mostly locked up at this point.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. So have a good week, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
I know.